sticking to the abbreviated version of the intro here. Welcome to another episode of the Nailing History podcast. I'm Matt, and I'm here with the host of the show. John's going to take this one over. John,
co-host of the show for all of our fans who've been here with us since the beginning, as you know. Welcome back to another edition. We got a good one for you here this week. It's gonna be a little different. Past few weeks we've been doing, the whole This Week in History, and we actually just had the release earlier.
Somebody did just say to me, you guys are becoming the This Week in History podcast, not the Nailing History podcast. So I think it's we're due time to steer away from that for an episode or two.
Yeah, so we got a really good show this week. We're not doing
the fans are getting they're fresh off of, if they've listened to it, they're fresh off of the 2-part series of the O.J. Simpson shenanigans.
So that was we got you warmed up.
So hopefully you guys, we got them hook, line, and sinker to tune into another episode here. I released, the part 2 was released yesterday, which was the 30th anniversary of the actual murders, July 12th. So that's how the timing went for that.
July 12th?
June 12th, sorry.
That's good. That's, if only the podcast could have been playing the night of that happened, maybe something else would have happened. So let's get into it. So we have for you this week. Well, let's just before we do that, how are you doing?
I'm good. I went to my niece's dance recital yesterday, and my niece crushed her dance. She danced to the Pinocchio song. I Got No Strings on Me, I guess. I don't know the title of it. It was pretty good. She was front and center in the beginning. I had to sit by myself. It was pretty weird because, grown man sitting by himself in the theater, kind of similar to a little OJ situation, the day of the murder.
Let's just hope your evening didn't end that way. So
that's what my sister said. She said the whole time I was sitting there, I was just thinking about OJ being in the theater staring at me the whole time. Heisman pose in the aisle,
as they say. Let's just hope you didn't have a flight to catch that night, and a nearly missed flight that night to catch.
I did have a Big Mac on the way home in honor of the Cato Kalin.
The El Cato. I hope one of our mutual friends was in the car with you so that he could reenact Cato's role as you threw his food in his face.
I made him order from the passenger seat and everything.
Good. You got to stay true to the facts.
It was my own Brian K. I'll say that much.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Another number one fan of the show right there. Well, that's good. We're talking about Pinocchio. No, him and Brian K. I mean, both, hopefully one day. But you mentioned Pinocchio, and I think that's actually a really good segue to kind of give you a quick rundown on my weekend. Some of our fans might know I'd hinted on the past couple of episodes that I was pursuing this Italian citizenship by descent nonsense. Nonsense is really what it is, because it's been going on for 5 years, and I really wish the old red tape was not a thing talking about Italian bureaucracy. Now, if you thought dealing with the bureaucracy here in the States is bad, let me tell you something. It ain't holding a candle to what Italy's putting down.
A little bit of an update on this is John's citizenship update for Italy.
This is my update on my application.
There's a lot of listeners out there who are thinking, my grandparents are from Italy. It'll be easy. I can go get my Italian citizenship whenever I want. So give them a little taste of what they're in for.
I'll give you a little taste, and I'll also give myself a pitch. If you want to pursue it, I'll help you I'll help you the best I can. But it's just know you're in for the long haul when you start this process. And so, so I had an appointment in Philadelphia on Thursday. I managed to luckily get one a couple months back. And the reason I was able to get it is because my mother had gone through the process last year. She had her citizenship recognized in April of last year, had her passport a couple months later in June. And so what happens is they sent all of her documents off to Italy to kind of basically be transcribed into the Italian system. So like she had an American birth certificate, American marriage certificate, etc. All that stuff was sent over and basically transcribed into Italian records. And so because she did that already, it was a lot easier for me to go and have an appointment. All I had to hand in was my birth certificate. And so we had the appointments at, late last morning on Thursday. And we go in, and it's hot. I mean, this place, there was a notice on the door saying you're only those with appointments are allowed into the Italian consulate because the air conditioning throughout the building is broken, and we don't want any more people in here, heating the place up. So we walked in.
That's a power move by the Italian government right there.
They wanted you sweating under the collar hard, and it worked. Let me tell you, it worked. And so we go upstairs. We're on the 9th floor. I'm thinking to myself, well, these counter clerks are probably already not having it on a good day due to the temperature in the office. And so I get called in. And, I kind of walk in. I'm not trying to be cocky about it, but I'm trying to have a sense of relief.
But you were.
No,
how many gold chains were you wearing?
The real thing is I didn't have my pepper. There's a little Italian pepper you're supposed to wear.
So you walk in, you're sweating. The people behind the counter, and the people behind the counter are also sweating.
So presumably, so they've called me in, and I'm, have my documents ready, and I just start taking my documents out. She asks for my birth certificate. I give her that. I show her, my passport and my U.S. driver's license, to kind of establish my identity. And then she asks me, she's like, "Oh, do you have your mother's Italian marriage certificate?" And I said, "No, I don't have that."
Whoops.
I said, did she hand all that in last year? Right? She handed in all of her American certificate. She handed in all of her stuff last year. I wasn't aware. And so why that got me so upset and flustered was, on their website, they have listed what you need to bring to this specific appointment for people that are only one generation removed from an Italian citizen. So like my mother in this example, they have on the Philadelphia consulate's website a breakdown of everything that's required. And that was not on there. Like the Italian record, which would have been transcribed, that wasn't on that list.
Did you call them a Stugotz?
I was ready to. But the funny thing is, as my fiance would tell it, she told me she took a picture of me at the counter and was going to send it in like a group text to my mom and sister. My sister went through the process last year too. She was going to say, 5 years on, and we're finally here. And as she was typing that out, that's when she heard me say to the woman, "Oh, so I don't have that." And she looked up from her phone and she saw that my ears were turning like bright red. And she said she could feel from like 3 rows back. There was like all this seating in there. She was sitting in there and just kind of waiting for me to do my thing. She was sitting in there and she could see from like the back of the room that I was like shaking. She could feel it. She could feel the energy coming from me. But anyway, it was so unpleasant. So unpleasant. You go in, you're thinking, finally, here we are crossing a finish line. It's easy. I'll pay the money. I'll give him my birth certificate, and I'll be out. And just like just flustered, And so she said, "Get it for me," and I said, "Okay." And so then my fiance and I, we leave. We enjoy South Philly. We go to the Italian market, get some cannolis from Istro's.
You should have showed back up with the cannolis.
That's what we were saying. Cannolis and cash. Needed to have probably needed to have a couple grand under the cannolis.
That Italian cash. Are they still in the euro? Yeah,
not on the lira anymore.
1,000 euros.
Yeah, I should have done something. Could have swayed one a little better, one way or the other. But anyway, so then we come home. So I'm staying at my mom's Thursday night. And I tell mom about this whole thing. I'm like, yeah, it turns out we need to get this document, like your marriage certificate issued from the town hall in Italy, from what they call the comune. We needed to get that. And so we're trying to reach out to my cousin. We're asking my cousin who still lives in this town that my great grandfather was from. We're asking her, like, hey, would you mind like going to the town hall and like asking for like my mom's record? And so she sent her an email. We hadn't heard back. And then my mom's telling me last night, she was just like, well, wait a minute. Let me just search my email one last time. And she did a quick search of the town name in Italy. It's called Ragusa. And she just did a quick search of Ragusa in her Gmail. And like the first thing that came up was the name of the record that I needed to get. And there was an attachment, and it turns out that my mom had actually received this thing back in April.
Ooh, that's nice, but
it is nice. And I got a lot of stress and a lot of a lot of emotion and a lot of stress came, but it's okay because the consulate said, hey, when you get that record,
right?
Just email it. So I've already emailed it to them, did it this morning. And
that's amazing.
See, hopefully sometime this week. So as far as I know, that's all they needed. But yeah,
they're going to find something else. You'll be back in Philly in no time.
We'll see. Because I want to get this done because as some of our fans probably don't know, I don't know why they would. The plan is Matt will be taking a day off of, maybe a day off of work. I don't want to say if anyone, and he would go with me into Philadelphia.
I'm allowed to take days off of work, John.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not illegal.
I don't know what I can disclose and can't disclose. And go in with me to Philadelphia to get my Italian passport. And while we were there, we'd have a plan on seeing a couple other historical sites. So I want to get. I want to go in there.
I want to go into that consulate so bad and start talking like Tony Soprano in the worst way. Hey, I'm going to bring some gabagool with me. You guys want some gabagool?
They have like an Italian officer in there.
Yeah, great.
And he might not put up with that. We'll see. We'll have to see. Stay tuned.
We'll film it for the podcast.
Yeah, so that's the rundown.
Well, thanks for that short. Thanks for that short summary of that. That was nice.
15 minutes. Well, 15.
Well,
I think our fans can give me 15 minutes. I know it's been 5 years. Yeah. All right. So that's that. That's the rundown. That was my weekend. I went to a concert too, but that's neither here nor there.
So that's a good segue into what we're doing, what we did today. Might as well just get into the main event here.
Yeah. So as some of our fans might remember from last week's episode, we were talking about Matt taking the U.S. Naturalization Test. He was actually very curious to see how he would fare on the 100 questions.
Yeah, so it wasn't the official test, but it was I answered all 100, all of the 100 question pool that can be taken from the 10.
Right, because you need 6 out of 10 on the actual naturalization test when you actually go for citizenship. So Matt did it.
I did it, and I sent it over to John to be graded.
And without further ado, we'll get cracking into this test. What do you say, Matt?
I'm a little nervous.
Why?
I don't know. Really went out on a limb. I really put myself out there for this test.
I have to say, you did. You did. Before we get into it, I think you did pretty well. I think you did solid. There were a couple ones where I was like, okay, but I think you did pretty good.
But you know that I didn't cheat. Let's just put it out there.
I know you didn't cheat. No,
Thank you.
I definitely know that. Especially with your answer to number 2.
I got it all.
So that's actually I think that one's incorrect because
it's kind of correct.
No, it doesn't do that for me. Really? Well, I have my qualms with it. No, maybe discussion around it, but not so much the thing itself.
All right, let's get into it.
Anyway, what we're thinking of doing here is, so as we said a little earlier, it's 100 total questions that can be pulled from to do the test, to do the actual sit-down test. And it's broken into sections. So there's 3 overarching sections. You got American government, American history, and integrated civics. And within each of those sections, you've got 3 subsections. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of do a breakdown. We'll just kind of go through each subsection, and we can kind of just see, how Matt did, how he fared, and get his how he was feeling.
We'll be able to defend some of these answers, I think.
Yeah, and we'll just kind of go from there. Well, let's look at the first section here. So, Matt, American government, principles of American democracy.
The first overall section is American government. So the first part, let's call it a part. First part is American government. First section of part 1 is principles of American democracy.
Yes, you had 12 questions in that principles of American democracy part. How do you think you did?
I think I got probably 8 right. How many questions were there? 12?
There were 12.
I think I got 8 right.
You did get 8 right. That's right. So
I did. Yeah, that's a kind of a guess, but yeah.
So I'll just maybe go through a couple of ones you got wrong here, and then I actually kind of have some notes where it's like, that's interesting. Why did you ask that? I mean, he has some that he got right where I'm like, interesting. Maybe you can explain yourself there. And I got some ones that I wasn't sure of, so maybe I was going to let Matt defend himself. So one you got wrong here was, what does the Constitution do?
My answer was gets John horny.
No, and that's what we were saying. It's incorrect on 2 accounts. One, I'm probably more of an anti-federalist, as some of our fans could probably guess, but also it's wrong. It's not on the USCIS said no, that's not it. So
if I was taking the test orally, that might have been my answer. Just putting it out there.
And then I'd be in the back of the room giving you a fist sign.
Thumbs up.
This. Yeah, he's right. He's spot on. So it actually says sets up the government. And so it sets up the government, defines the government, protects basic rights of Americans. Those are the answers. So as you can kind of tell, it's like that's a pretty not very in depth.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the responses as maybe somebody might expect.
That's a pretty short answer. That's probably right.
Yeah. You got I'll just tell you real quick. How many amendments did the Constitution have?
My answer was 20 or 30 something.
The correct answer was
Is it 27? Is it 27?
So
yeah, that was going to be my guess.
But I had to give it, they asked for a definitive number.
I should have given a real guess. Like my guess probably actually would have been 27, but I felt like it wouldn't have been a fair answer because I don't actually know. It was just the guess.
That's fine.
Probably would have gotten it right if I guessed, but I wanted to kind of let you know that I didn't actually know the answer.
I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate that. What are 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence?
This was a guess.
Matt put...
I got 1 right, didn't I?
Men created equal and pursuit of happiness. You did get 1.
All men are created equal. Yeah.
No, pursuit of happiness.
Oh, what?
And the other 2 are life, liberty. So the quote goes, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are the rights.
Well, where does the men created equal come from?
All men are created equal. That's not a right, but all those men that are created equal have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, well, that was a pretty good answer by me. Okay.
You got half credit. Half.
Well, at least the men created equal part was in the Declaration of Independence.
Well, yes, that's.
Can we talk about my answer to number 10?
Let's do it. Yeah, and if there's something you want to bring up, absolutely.
I was proud of myself for this one.
So what is freedom of religion?
I said you can worship whoever the F you want or no one if you choose. And I think that is the correct response. The key is no one if you choose, in my opinion.
That is correct. The answer is you can practice any religion or not practice a religion. That's the answer and the answer key.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wonder if you would be considered, if it would have been considered a correct answer if you just said you can worship whoever you want or whatever, or you can practice any religion you want. Because the key
or not.
The key is or not, in my opinion. You're allowed to not be religious.
Yeah, nailed that one. And last one we've got, what is the quote rule of law? You did not get this one.
Yeah,
right, unfortunately.
mine was F the police, which kind of is now, but I still don't know the answer to this. I don't know what they were getting at. I don't know. Is it innocent if you're innocent until proven guilty?
That's a good guess. I mean, yeah, it was pretty abstract. Everyone must follow the law. Leaders must obey the law. Government must obey the law. No one is above the law. So it could be any one of those.
That's a dumb question.
Big. That's a
stupid question. I'm good with that. All right, so I'm 8 out of 12 so far.
8 out of 12. So next section here, we got system of government.
That's 67%. That's
67%.
Uh-oh.
Next section here is system of government. It's actually the biggest section of all. It's 35 questions.
Yeah, that's the biggest section and the one that I don't know. I mean, I barely know how the government runs. If the fans here don't, I'm exposing myself here.
Okay.
So out of 30, how many questions are there? 35?
35. How many do you think you got right?
I'm guessing I got 24.
Close. 23.
Dang, I was close. That's not good. That's better than half.
Better than half.
What percent is that? Just out of curiosity.
I got it here, 66.
Okay. I'm on pace. I'm on pace here.
Pass. I mean, that's what the test only asks for 6 out of 10. I mean, the
pretty good.
Ask for 60%. So how many U.S. senators are there?
I thought this was a trick question.
It wasn't. No. Walk me through the lot. Just walk me through. I mean,
there's two senators from every state, right?
Yes. Did you think D.C. gets two too?
I did.
Okay, that's fair.
So the answer is 100.
Correct.
I should. I mean, I was trying to go. I outsmarted myself.
Yeah. So
I shouldn't. That was stupid, but whatever.
100 senators. We elect the U.S. senator for how many years?
Is it 6?
It is 6.
Man, I don't know.
Why'd you think 2?
I don't know.
Okay. And then these other ones.
You know why I think it. You know why I think I thought 2 was because they come in. Those elections come in halfway between the president,
midterm. Yeah,
the midterm stuff.
A third of them are up for every. Yeah.
So
a third of them are up every. 2 years. What is one of your state's U.S. senators now?
I got that wrong.
You got it wrong. I'm shocked.
The Tomb Meister?
Toomey left office at the end of last year.
Oh, rats. That's embarrassing.
So Matt is a resident of Pennsylvania, so it could have been John Fetterman.
Oh, really? He's a U.S. senator?
He's a U.S. senator. Or is it Bob Casey?
Paul Casey?
Oh, what? Senator Bob Casey. So he's the senior, and Fetterman's the junior senator of Pennsylvania.
All right, shout out to them. Sorry.
Shout out to them. So then we got the House of Representatives has how many voting members? Matt put 434.
43.4. That was a guess.
Yes. It was close. It's close, but it's 435.
No way! I was so close.
435. If you listen, rewind and go back to a previous episode.
Yeah, there was a whole. That was all the rage of the first presidential veto about the number of representatives and how they were split.
If I recall, that was your This Week in History.
Yes, but in my defense, at that point, I think it was at like 127 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about how it got capped at that number because it was supposed to grow with the population. And then at some point they had to stop it.
Yeah. So we elect a U.S. representative for how many years?
Is that 6 too?
No, that's 2.
Oh, all right. Well, I said 4,
which is crazy to think, man. That just really grinds me that the House of Representatives every 2 years, really half the time you're spending in the House, you're campaigning. All 335. I just think it's bogus. It's bogus.
Yeah, that seems crazy to me. But then my answer was 2 years for the Senate, so I can't defend.
I mean, I think there should be a term limit for sure of them, but I think 6 years as a senator. I mean, I think you should be capped at 2 terms, but that's neither here nor there. Who signs bills to become law? You put Congress.
Question
the
mark?
answer is the president.
Oh, I was thinking
Who signs bill? You got correctly who vetoes bills.
I knew that, as I know from my This Week in History.
And then did the next few. What does the judicial branch do? Some may say they judiciate, as Matt said.
How is that answer wrong?
It's way too vague. Using the adjective as a verb.
That'd be like an
branch.
answer that like a 12-year-old would say, probably.
Yeah. I think the USCIS officer would think you're trying to be a real smart aleck. You said that one. What does the judiciary do? Review laws, explain laws, resolve disputes, or decides if a law goes against the Constitution. Any one of those 4 would suffice.
The Constitution one would have been a good answer.
This is one that I remember in my poli-sci class in high school. This was one like we had to know, and we had to be able to name them all. How many justices are on the Supreme Court?
This was a shot in the dark. I had no idea. Is it 7?
It is 9.
Rats.
But
my answer was 11.
Mm-hmm. And the next one, I was curious. I was like, I'm not sure what you didn't understand. What wasn't going on here? The question was, who is the Chief Justice of the United States now? And Matt put, don't understand the question. Thought it was like an SNL thing, SNL Jeopardy, where it's like, Burt Reynolds just like writes something goofy. I wasn't sure what he was going for. The Chief Justice is currently John Roberts. As of the recording as of this recording. I have a comment on here. The next one. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government?
My answer is a thought-provoking one, though. Makes you think.
It does. I made a note of it. Yeah.
My answer was it has the power to have too much power. Boom.
It's certainly what it's
drop.
Become.
Mic drop up in that USICS office.
I think you would pass a logic course, but I don't know if that would fly in this case. So it was to print money, to declare war, to create an army, and to make treaties.
That makes sense.
Those are the options. No here. Let's see. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the states?
My answer was to collect taxes.
And while that is technically correct,
it
is incorrect for the purposes of this test. I think they wanted clearly defined sovereign power of a state, and they would consist of provide schooling and education, provide protection, such as the police, provide safety, such as a fire department, give a driver's license, and approve zoning and land use.
Give a driver's license? Cool.
Yeah, I thought that too.
That's a cool, right? Sweet.
It's really sweet, right? As some of our fans may also know, I think this list is way too short and should be far more exhaustive, but there you go. You got a 23 out of 35 there.
Okay.
So, yeah. And next section here we got is rights and responsibilities.
Did you like my answer for the government of the state?
What? Which one's? Oh, yeah.
Josh Danger Shapiro. Danger's his middle name.
I saw he just signed into the law in Pennsylvania. You can no longer hold a cell phone while driving. I thought like every state had that on the books, but I guess Mr. Danger needed to.
That's not too dangerous.
He does not want you to be dangerous while you're driving. So I guess put the phone down is what he's saying.
Leave the danger up to him is kind of what he's saying.
Just to give our fans some of the other questions that are in this section, like what is the political party of the president now? What are the 2 major political parties in the United States? What is the capital of your state?
Yeah, I got all the softballs right.
Yeah, these are all ones that Matt crushed. And so they get the last one in this section is
in the part
American government rights and responsibilities. There's only 10 questions there. How'd you hold up on this one?
Out of 10, I'm probably got 5.
4.
Yeah, see, I don't definitely don't know the responsibilities, that's for sure.
Yeah, the one I had, and I have to admit, so I won't go through all of them here. There's a couple ones that I think are worth mentioning, but 50 was tough. Name one right only for U.S. citizens. Matt put liberty, which is a good guess. I myself thought this was pretty tough. It is.
I should have put death and taxes.
I would get a couple chuckles, I think.
Isn't that what's the phrase for that? Like there's only two things.
2 guarantees in life.
2 guarantees in life, death and taxes. Yeah. That would have been good.
So apparently it's the only 2 things that US citizens have, I guess, separate from legal permanent residence or others on legal visas. Vote in a federal election and run for federal office. Okay. So what do we show? This one's interesting.
I answered this right. They're saying this is wrong.
Which one?
What do we show loyal? This is the question. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I dinged it. I don't think it's right.
My answer was to the Republic.
It's the answers in the key are the United States and the flag.
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic. We pledge allegiance to the Republic. It literally says it in the pledge.
And to the Republic.
Who do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic.
Well, I guess I could. Okay, I could give it to you.
That's a right answer.
It's a right answer, but I'm curious as to know why they didn't include that. My guess is that I don't think they want people to know what a republic is. They love touting how much we are just a democracy, where it's just voting is everything. I don't think they really care that much that people don't know that we are a republic. So they're probably just. I think they think the flag is more important than the actual structure of the government itself. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll give it to you. All right. I'll give you that one. So you got 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you.
And number 53, Matt, maybe you can explain to our fans what you were thinking on this one.
Just one of my favorite songs. The question was, what is one promise to make? One is one promise.
Whenever it comes with a copy of the CD too.
What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen? My answer was to be American Badass. Kid Rock staple song.
Do you have to sing the People song too?
And like the thing is, like, you have to, the answer to be American Badass, not to be an American Badass. It's to be American Badass, because I think the song is like, I am American Badass. It's not I'm an American Badass. It's like
the essence of.
Yeah. It's like a description of your persona. It's not who you are, it's how you are.
Okay.
Like you see some dude driving by with a Harley with American flag flying off the back. You're like, dude, that dude is American Badass. Not an American Badass. That dude just exudes.
He's just
American Badass.
The aura of him. Interesting. Well, Kid Rock's may fit that bill for some.
What was the answer? What was the answer? What is one promise you make?
So there's 6 different options here. Give up loyalty to other countries, defend the Constitution, obey the laws of the United States, serve in the U.S. military, if needed, serve, parentheses, do important work for the nation, parentheses, if needed, and be loyal to the United States. What are 2 ways that Americans can participate in their democracy? You got one of them.
Yeah, vote is easy. And then pay taxes is probably not right.
No, you got join a political party, help with a campaign, join a civic group, run for office, write.
I was going to say vote and run for office, but I didn't want to be boring.
Yeah, I get you. So, yeah, you got 5 out of 10 on that section.
All right, cool. So that's it for American government. I did okay. I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
All right, now down to the core of the podcast.
This is core.
This is the one that
an hour in. Coming to the core. Here we are.
This is what I'm a little worried about, because if I did bad on these, I would look bad. I know I didn't get them all right, but I feel like I did okay. So let's get started with colonial period and independence.
So this section, you had 13 questions.
I think I got 11 right.
10.
Oh, okay.
10. And this is interesting, actually. I had to Google it. I was like, oh, is he right? Is he not? So one here was, when was the Declaration of Independence adopted?
So I was wrong on that.
You were wrong. Because, well, I have to say that the thing has a set date. It's one date. Matt has from July 2nd through July 4th.
Well, I said it's the 2nd or the 4th. I believe July 2nd was the day that it was agreed to and signed.
It was signed later. It was adopted on the 4th.
Okay.
It's a bit of a trick question on their part, but I think it was also kind of a softball. It was a
softball. I was trying to outsmart it. There's something about July 4th with the Declaration of Independence. I think that's when it was agreed to send it.
Well, the questions ask, why do we celebrate the Declaration on the 4th and not the 2nd? Why do we celebrate July 4, not July 2? Yeah, so Continental Congress declared American independence on July 2nd, even though the final wording of the Declaration of Independence had not yet to be approved. That approval came 2 days later, which is why American independence is celebrated on July 4th.
So the reason I was wrong was because Tommy J was late with his due date.
Lollygagging around. Yeah.
Classic.
Well, I think wasn't Ben Franklin giving him his 2 cents? And they were like, yeah, it's too much. You should say this and say that. And he's like, all right.
I could see that, I guess.
Give me time.
But technically okay. I think it should be the 2nd.
You got this one right in my eyes, but what happened at the Constitutional Convention?
I said a lot of nonsense in them parentheses, according to my friend John. Which I suppose the right answer is
you're spot on.
They wrote the Constitution in the convention.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, this is one I'm surprised you didn't. That wasn't an option, or you didn't just put to be smart. What is one thing Ben Franklin is famous for?
I think my answer is correct here. You knocked me on this?
No, I gave it to you.
Thank you.
So Matt said tricking the French into helping the U.S. beat the Brits. The answer in the answer key was he was a U.S. diplomat.
Okay.
Along with a couple other things. Oldest member of Constitutional Convention, first Postmaster General of the United States, started the first free libraries. I'm surprised.
Invented the bifocals? Was that on there?
That's what I had. That's what I said. Bifocals ? Like, why didn't you say that? I was really surprised.
I was going to, but I wanted to be smart about
leave me on edge.
Him tricking the French was the best, in my opinion. Like, help us and we're not going to help you. That was classic. Oh, we're into the 1800s now, John.
Oh, sorry. Yes, next section here. 1800s.
All right, so 1800s, there's how many questions are there?
There are 7.
There's 7 questions. My guess is I got 5 of them.
You got 6.
Nice.
You got 6. And the first one here, you got this one right, but like I said, I gave you a bonus point. Name one problem that led to the Civil War.
Yeah, my answer was high tariffs, thanks to Andrew Jackson. And then the South wanted to secede, but Lincoln wanted their taxes, their tax money.
Yeah. Well, I gave him a +1 right off the bat. I said, well, you won my heart over.
That'd be an awesome to say that answer when you were taking the test to those people. They'd be like, what?
What's a tariff? What's a tariff? I don't know what that is. What do I got that with that?
That's not on the paper here.
Yeah. I gave it to you. I mean, it's correct because the answers are slavery, states' rights, and the third one is economic reasons. So I gave it to you on the grounds of economic reasons. Tariffs certainly being one of them.
I'm actually surprised at the other answers. I thought the only they did have one problem, so I figured there were multiple. The obvious answer is slavery.
Well, yeah, they could have very well just said two, slavery and states' rights, and then leave out economic reasons. But I just at least tip my hat to them a little bit, that they at least mentioned in passing that economic reasons played a part. So,
and that's thanks to Andrew Jackson and his what was the abomination tariff?
Well, it's kind of in part to like going back to Hamilton, and using protective tariffs as a form of coercing Henry Clay and all these punks. Well, Jackson actually, he was more support. Jackson kind of was, what was happening there was he, South Carolina and what was called the Nullification Crisis of 1832. Basically what happened was like a really high protective tariff was passed that actually I think South Carolina put forward, but they put it forward only to like put it to bed, if that makes sense. Like they put forward such a ridiculous protective tariff that it would basically be such a huge, egregious form of corporate welfare for the northern manufacturers that they basically put it forward for then Congress to vote on it. And I think they were expecting Congress to vote it down, that it actually ended up passing. And South Carolina decided
Talk about your all-time backfires.
Yeah, that's your whoopsie. So like, it's basically, that's when you had what was called the nullification crisis. And to nullify in terms of a state would mean to basically say, like, we as a state, we're not going to enforce and execute that law in our state. So the rest of the country can go ahead and go ahead with this on the grounds that it's unconstitutional. So the other states can choose to not, or choose to go ahead with this federal law, but we here in South Carolina, because it's unconstitutional, we will not go ahead and carry out this protective tariff. We won't collect the money and we won't send it to the federal government. And so then Andrew Jackson then another bill was put forth called the Force Bill, which basically was, the government's way of saying, the U.S. government's way of saying, well, we're going to come in, we'll send military into South Carolina to collect the tariff if you don't collect it yourselves willingly. Voluntarily, we will come in and coerce you to collect the tariff. And both sides had their arguments. Well, it's kind of, people are like, well, we all signed this deal. We all signed this compact, and all laws that are passed by the federal government are meant to be taken up by the states. But South Carolina was arguing on the grounds of, well, that's right when it comes to constitutional laws, but a protective tariff was questionable at best as to being a delegated power that the federal government could legislate on. And so, yeah, tariffs were a big part of the Civil War, very big part of the Civil War that does not get talked about. Obviously, slavery was a huge, major factor, but tariffs go back many, many, many years before the Civil War really kind of was at its edge.
It always brings me back to, I don't want to get political because I don't agree with either side of it, but I think I sent you this a couple months ago. Nikki Haley was still in the running for president or whatever, and there was a big news kerfluffle where she was in a I guess she was having like a press conference or like a town hall.
Yeah,
and somebody asked her I think they asked her this exact question.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What was the cause of the Civil War? And she didn't. She I don't know.
It was meant to be.
She kind of the same reason that I answered the way that I did was like, you don't want to be like, well, slavery, because it's like the obvious answer. You kind of want to sound smarter. I feel like maybe that's where she was coming from or whatever. I don't know why she didn't want to just say that, because as a politician, you have to know that that's what they're.
Well, it was a gotcha question.
But as a politician, you have to know that that's what they're looking for. So for her not to just answer that as the answer, you partly have to respect it, but also you're just like, you're just asking for problems there.
Well, I think the only way is to do it. You have to preface. I mean, you can't come out and say tariffs. I mean, she's going to look just as ridiculous with what she answered. I forget what she said, but then I know that she kind of asked a rhetorical question. She asked it back to them. She's like, well, what do you think caused it? She kind of, in herself, that itself made her look bad.
Yeah, she kind of blew it.
you have to say slavery to start. You say, well, slavery was a major factor, but I have to say that there were other contributing, like economic reasons, such as high tariffs and da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, she's a Republican, and the Republicans were the ones that were proponents of the tariffs and these other things. So, yeah, she wouldn't know that because that's not where she sides on these things. And I think she was a major lobbyist for the defense industry. So she loves corporate welfare. So she wouldn't give you a different answer. So.
Yeah, so that kind of brings
I like
you
that
back
answer
to,
a lot.
You kind of bring that. That was kind of to stroke your ego a little bit. Same with the next question.
I did that. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So the next one is, what was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? You said, wore a dope hat. And
I'll be honest with you.
I don't think the hat's that cool. To be honest.
I think the hat's cool. So anyway, what important thing did Abraham Lincoln do? I guess my thought was like the obvious answer would be, I guess he would be freed the slaves, maybe saved the Union, a couple of those answers, but it's hard to, it's my issue with answering that way. And I want to be clear that I know that those are answers, but
okay, gotcha.
My issue with that was, I don't think he should get the credit for that.
Ding 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 ding. I absolutely agree with you.
So
not free the slaves and the so the answer says freed the slaves, parentheses, Emancipation Proclamation. Didn't free a single slave. The 13th Amendment, the passing of the 13th Amendment was what finally ended the institution of slavery.
Which I guess you could say that he supported that. Don't get me wrong, and I get that, and
got the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I get that he kept the Union together in the sense that he was the president during the Civil War.
But he didn't do the fighting.
But he also didn't do enough to stop the Civil War.
Also true.
So
kind of was implied that it was going to happen once he came into office. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Like, he's the president during the Civil War. So yeah, and he's the commander in chief, which I think is a question coming up, or was already one. The president's commander in chief of the army or the military. So yeah, if you are the commander in chief at the time when the North wins and the Union saved, then yeah, sure, that would be an answer.
But yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he was the war. He led a war. I mean, like I said,
you gotta give it to him for that. And I guess the other thing,
killing a million people.
Yeah, but to go off of like preserving the Union, I mean, we've kind of talked. I don't know if we've ever talked about this on air, but he was one of when the North ultimately won, even though he died shortly after. His which kind of was carried out, I think, for a little bit. His not to hold it against the South, kind of to welcome the South back with open arms during the Reconstruction. That was his goal going into it. That's a thing,
and a genuine one at that, I would say. There's nothing to say he was going to be more radical than the radical Republicans that ended up actually running the show after the fact. If you're going to attribute him to saving the Union, I think his intent of Reconstruction, obviously before he died, you could attribute it to that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so that's the end of that one. I get, so there you go.
We kind of went off on that one for a while. But
I could have answered that one right, but I didn't. So my score is not 100%.
I did like your one for name one war fought by the U.S.
Oh yeah, so we're going to the next one. The next one is recent American history, which I'm not the best at because I'm kind of stuck in the past as far as history goes, somewhat.
You did good.
Yeah. What did I do? Good. How many questions are there?
There's 10.
Did I get 10?
You got 9.
Dang. Okay. See, I feel like I answered all these.
You got 9. Did pretty good. You got like the one here, one that you did get right. Name one war fought by the U.S. in the 1900s. You took it on to give yourself to put a comment in there saying, sheesh, there's a lot, ... Gulf War.
Dude, there is a lot. That really made me think, dude. That was you think about people, I think there's a lot of people, boomers especially, say this world's crazy. It's like World War III out here and stuff. But you think about, you got World War I, you got World War II, you got the Korean War, you got the Vietnam War, you got the Gulf War. And then, I mean, it's not in the 90s, but the freaking Iraqi freedom, I guess you would call. Well, technically there were two. Iraqi freedom and the war in Afghanistan came right off the heels of the 1900s. So there were a lot, dude.
I think it's arguable to say, though, I actually think there was only 2 wars. If we're going to go by the book, there were only 2 wars fought in the 1900s. Legal wars, anyway. Because as we saw earlier in the thing, it's kind of funny, this actual answer key, this naturalization test answer key, kind of contradicts itself. Like one of the powers of the government is to declare war.
You would be such a problem taking this test.
I know. I don't know if I had a little fun with it.
You would any answer. I don't think you say the Abraham Lincoln question came up to you. You wouldn't be able to answer it the way that they would.
No, I would answer it because I want to get the citizenship. My goal is to get the citizenship. I mean, I give them the answer they want, but I know in the back of my head this is what they want to hear.
I would be curious how you would answer. You're like, well, technically it's this, but, or I know this is the answer you're looking for, but, and if you went into that attitude in the Italian consulate, which is I think what happened, I could see what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think some USCIS case officers, pencil pushers, really going to want to hear my thoughts on tariffs and why a war has to be considered why it wouldn't be considered a war. Yeah, so
World War I and World War II, are those the two?
World War II, those are definitely two. To be a war, constitutionally speaking, Congress has to declare war. The last time they've done that was World War II. On this list, though, on this answer key, they also have the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Persian Gulf War. I'm giving it to you. You got it correct on that account, but constitutionally speaking, if Congress doesn't declare war, we're not at war. It's otherwise just the executive government taking that power and acting on its own.
That's an interesting input there, John. I like it.
Thank you. As we know, Congress has punted a lot of responsibility off to the executive branch, but it's a shame. It really is. Let's see. You got this one. During the Cold War, I'm glad you listened to last week's episode. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States?
Helen Keller and communism.
Dang straight. Let's see. And the one you got wrong. This is interesting here. Name one. I know you thought you were being funny, but
I got this wrong. No way.
Name one American Indian tribe in the United States. And they've got like a list here. Pretty exhaustive. It looks like a pretty exhaustive.
How am I wrong? My answer was Algonquin.
Algonquin and hyphen Milwaukee, the good land, as we learned from the Wayne's World movie and Alice Cooper. They're not on the list, first of all. But but even more so, I did a little deeper. So I was like, because Algonquian is actually Canadian and they're not on this list. And I was like, well, why aren't they listed? Where are all the remaining Algonquians now? And they're like almost exclusively in Quebec.
Oh, they're talking about currently?
Yeah. USCIS officers will be supplied with a list of federally recognized American Indian tribes. I'm just going to read them real quick. Say hi to anyone who you know who's one of these tribes, and if you know one. Cherokee, Navajo, Sioux, Chippewa, Choctaw, Pueblo, Apache,
shout out to Cherokee,
Creek, Blackfeet, Seminole, Cheyenne, Arawak, Shawnee, Mohegan, Huron, Oneida, Lakota, Crow, Teton, Hopi, and Inuit. But I will say, like, there's nations, right? So like the Iroquois, I think there's like sub-tribes of that, right?
I thought the Oneida was one of them.
I think that we learned
at the Museum of the American Revolution.
Like you've got like linguistic groups, and like the Iroquois are like an umbrella for for that Oneida.
I can't believe Algonquin wouldn't have been an answer.
It's not on here, and I don't know if any of these tribes that have listed. Most of these tribes are from like the Midwest and Southwest. I feel like Pueblo, Cherokee. They were the ones that were on the Trail of Tears. The Sioux were in the Dakotas. Yeah, most of it's like further west. So. Sorry, they're Canadian.
Okay,
and the next one, so
integrated
that's
civics.
Now we're going to another like part.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, we got geography. There are eight questions.
I got 8.
You got 7. You got 7.
Which one did I get wrong?
Where is the Statue of Liberty?
Why'd I get that wrong?
Again, you tried being too smart. You gave too much information. Too much information to the government, as the theme of this podcast. Matt put Ellis Island, New York.
Is it New Jersey?
No.
Oh.
It is Liberty Island.
Really?
Yes.
Oh. That I did not know. I've never been there. I've never been to the Statue of Liberty. I've seen it.
Yeah. It's
not much though. I've been to New York and haven't seen the Statue of Liberty. It's not very prominent.
Yeah, it's not. It's that island, Liberty Island. It's literally just the statue on there. I don't know if it's a man-made island. I don't know if it's man-made.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, they're two different islands,
but they're next to each other.
They are somewhat next to each other.
That's a little trick question.
It is a little trick, but the answers they have here are New York.
Oh, okay.
New York Harbor, but you put Ellis Island, so.
Okay, you gotta dig me.
Yeah. Also acceptable are New Jersey, near New York City, and on the Hudson River.
Wait, what was that?
Also acceptable answer are New Jersey.
What?
Near New York City, and on the Hudson River.
How could New Jersey be an acceptable answer?
I don't know.
Is Liberty Island... I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Is it in New Jersey waters? I don't know. It's technically in New Jersey. On the New Jersey side of the water. Yeah, it's technically in New Jersey.
Huh. Wow.
But it's in New York Harbor.
Okay. Wow.
Who knew? I feel like if you're a proud North New Jerseyan, that's something you'd wear on your sleeve.
Yeah.
You know the Statue of Liberty is in our state, right?
Kind of like people from Philadelphia that are like, oh, the country, the birthplace of freedom, or, kind of
I think it'd be more against, I think it'd be more of a knock on like New Yorkers, like who try coming out, New York, what about the Statue of Liberty? Like, naturally.
Tony Soprano probably would let us know.
Totally. So New Jersey, I learned something new there. There you go.
And the last two sections, I really hope I didn't get any wrong.
All wrong.
They were symbols and holidays. They were, examples of these are: why does the flag have 13 stripes? 13 original colonies. 50. Why does the flag have 50 stars? The 50 states. What is the name of the national anthem? The Star Spangled Banner. When do we celebrate Independence Day? July 4th. And name two national U.S. holidays. I chose the two best, which are Memorial Day and Labor Day.
You got them. You got them all.
Those were easy. But I was thinking, I was talking about this yesterday with some people and my brother-in-law, and I was like, it's the test to get 6 out of 10. And I guess just to go into the summary of the whole thing quickly, well, I guess we should go over my overall score, but just to talk to my brother, like to get 6 out of 10 orally when you pick 10 random ones, it's probably pretty I think there's like this misnomer that there people say like, oh, the average American citizen wouldn't be able to pass it. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I didn't find it super difficult. I think obviously if you study, it'd be really easy as an American citizen just off the bat, which I didn't study for this. The ones that were tricky were probably the trickiest ones were probably our state representatives because nobody, unfortunately.
That's fair. If that's just not something you paid attention to, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Those are like book knowledge that it's like if you don't pay attention to it, you're not
and some of the intricacies of the government, like the rule of law was dumb. That was a dumb question. What does the judicial branch do? Again, like you say, the answer makes sense, but you might not think of it off the top of your head. Some of the intricacies of the American government might be missed, but some of these, the softball ones, like what we just went over, if you're a person who didn't grow up here, like I said, we've been learning this stuff since we were in first grade in theory. Earlier, Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem. Those are things that you might not necessarily know. Like, what's the flag? 13 stripes? I don't know. So we went through that. That was a little bit longer than I thought, but it was fun. I had a good I thought it was fun.
Yeah. So what do you think you got all up? I was
trending 67% after the first two tricky ones, and then I kind of came back. I feel like I'm going to guess I got 73.
72.
Oh,
but I gave you those bonus points.
Those included. Those were included.
Those. So
well, you gave me a couple bonus points, but also I don't want to be. I answered them pretty honestly. There were a couple of them that, like the Abraham Lincoln one. So
I'll give you 70. I'll give you a clean 75.
Yeah, I feel like 75 is probably where I would have gotten if I really There was a couple that I just answered for content the way that.
And where do you think? I mean, I think I'd say that has to, in this day and age, that's pretty good. And I think the test should be 75%. I think making the citizenship test, you have to pass the test, whether it's 10 questions or 50 questions. You need at least a 75%. And so if it's only 10 questions, you need 8 out of 10.
Oh, that's tough. That's
not, dude. But if you study for the test,
I would say 70%. I think 70%. You should be allowed to get 3 wrong out of 10. Study, it's tough because they give you the answers. You just have to memorize them.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah,
English is your first language. There's really, I don't think.
Yeah, all right.
You did good. You did good, kid.
Yeah, 72. 72 with the potential to be at 75. I'm happy with that score. It wasn't the 80 that you thought, or that.
I think if you weren't doing it on a work day at 11 a.m., you probably.
Well, now thanks for diming me out on that.
78.
No, I answered it. I took my time somewhat. But yeah. So 72. All right, I'm happy with that. I hope the fans are happy with that. Actually, we'll just wrap it up here. I did put a poll out. It's still active, so it may be subject to change, but I did put a poll out on Twitter to see what people, just generally how our listeners think of me as my knowledge goes of history, or I guess of the civics of the country. We have 3 votes.
Okay.
3 votes. We got 67% of people thought that I would have gotten 50% to 75%. And 33% of people thought, so 2 people thought that, 1 person thought I would get 25 to 50%. So screw you, whoever said 25 to 50%. I don't know who you are, but I hope to find out someday. And unfortunately, I really would have liked to have hit that 75%, over 75% mark, and would have been able to prove everybody wrong, but such is life.
I think you did. I think it's acceptable. 75 out of 100. You've admitted kind of going in, you weren't sure about some of the stuff. I think it's...
And frankly, if it would have been multiple choice, I would have probably gotten a 90.
A 90.
At least. I would,
Okay.
maybe I would get 100 if it was multiple choice.
Well,
we'll never know. Yeah. I think we raised some questions, some points. If you guys have any comments or anything about the questions, or if you think some of the questions that you might have an alternate answer yourself, we discussed it on here. If you guys have the same thing, drop us a shout out on X, or shoot us a text message.
Or if you think there's a question that USCIS should include on the exam, send it to us, and we'll try to work our magic. We'll try to get in contact with them on your behalf, and maybe we'll get another question on there. You never know.
Dude, what if we were able to get a tour of the White House being this podcast? That'd be awesome.
I don't think I can trash talk Lincoln the way I'm doing and expect to get invited to the White House anytime soon.
That's true. All right, all right, fans. Thanks for hanging in there. We'll be back next week with another installment of the show, God willing.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, fans.
And we say bye-bye.